If you're wondering what is the difference between ACOS and TACOS when it comes down to Amazon advertising, this video is going to answer just that. Hey, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Noemi. I'm the co-founder of ScaleWeb, and in this video I want to share an in-depth view when it comes down to understanding ACOS and TACOS and other metrics that you should be tracking when it comes down to these two. We're going to chat about what TACOS is, what ACOS is, how to calculate both of them, what is the key difference between them, how do they affect profitability, what are the healthy benchmark percentages for both of these, as well as how to optimize them, common mistakes you should avoid, as well as how do they change once your brand grows, and how often should you review and adjust them. When it comes down to TACOS and ACOS, you have to understand that these are both very important metrics, but they are at a different level. When it comes down to definition, TACOS is going to measure how much ad spend is going to impact your total revenue, and it's going to showcase a long-term success of your product. ACOS, it is an advertising metric, and this is going to measure how much ad spend is needed to generate direct PPC sales. When it comes down to examples, I like to have two examples, a good and a bad example. So a good example is going to be a brand, you, the seller, going to use TACOS to track overall business growth, not just ad-driven sales. And a bad example, you as a seller, you're going to ignore TACOS and you're going to assume that all revenue should come from PPC ads. Now that we have a better understanding, let's move into the next step. And the next step is understanding how to calculate it. So the formula for both of them, for TACOS, you're going to take the ad spend, you're going to divide it by total sales and multiply it by 100. That is going to be on an account level as net profitability level. When it comes down to ACOS, you're going to take your ad spend, you're going to divide that to PPC sales, and then you're going to multiply it by 100. A good example, you're going to keep TACOS low while scaling organic sales, and a bad example is going to be you're going to focus only on lowering ACOS while organic sales drop. And now that we have that answer, we're going to see where we can find this information. So to calculate TACOS, you're going to log into your Seller Central and you're going to navigate to your business reports, sales dashboard. And there it is, the information that you're looking for. For the advertising part, you're going to open up your ad console and you're going to take the ad reports. So from business reports, what we are looking for is total units order sale. And for the ad reports, we're going to look into total ad spend. Here, keep in mind that we want to compare apples to apples. So in this scenario, we're going to have the same date range. We love to use a 30-day date range in order to see on a monthly basis how did we perform. When it comes down to ACOS, we're going to go to the ad console and then we're going to go to the campaign reports. A good practice here is going to be that you're going to check both your TACOS and your ACOS in order to understand what is going on in your account. And this one, you can ensure a balanced growth. And a bad example is going to be you're only going to check your ACOS without considering its impact on overall sales. Keep in mind that whenever you would launch a product, yes, you have to look at both ACOS and TACOS, but usually whenever you're launching the product, since you're running ads toward your product and ads are the ones that are converting into sales and then eventually into organic sales, TACOS and ACOS percentages are going to be quite similar, if not the same. Next is going to be key differences. It's really important to understand the key differences between these two because this is usually something that especially new sellers often confuse. TACOS is going to include your total revenue, that means organic plus ad-driven revenue, while ACOS is going to include only your ad-driven revenue. And a good example here is going to be understanding that TACOS shows long-term efficiency on your account and it's not just your ad ROI, while a bad example is going to be that you're going to confuse TACOS with ACOS and you're going to misinterpret profitability. Hey guys, real quick, this channel grows only once you share it. No ads, no fancy tricks, just word of mouth. So if anything connects with you or it might help someone you know, text it, DM it, post it, whatever feels right. Thanks so much. Now, the next step that we want to pay attention to is impact on profitability. So when it comes down to TACOS, lower TACOS usually over time indicates a stronger organic growth, while for ACOS, lower ACOS means better efficiency in paid ads. So a good example here is going to be a brand gradually is going to lower TACOS while keeping ACOS stable, and the bad example is going to be you're going to focus only on reducing your ACOS, and this is going to lead to fewer overall sales. Brands are coming on a daily basis and asking, Noemi, how could we reduce our ACOS? Sometimes in order to get more market share, it's going to be way harder for us to lower our ACOS because the market is asking for a specific CPC, the bid that you're going to bid in order to get the click. Therefore, sometimes it's going to be really coming down to, do we want to get additional market share for a specific keyword? Therefore, that is going to be the strategy that we're going to think through instead of just lowering ACOS, because keep in mind here what we want to do when it comes down to ACOS, we want to lower down ad spend that is not efficient and is not converting in sales. We do not want to lower down ad spend that already it works for us, and when it comes down to break-even ACOS, it is underneath the break-even cost. Some healthy benchmarks. Now, these are only benchmarks that I'm providing right now in 2025, and these are just only ideas. It really depends on the strategy for your account. So when it comes down to TACOS, this is going to really vary by niche, and under 15% is a good target. However, it really depends on what is the life stage of your product. For example, you can have a higher TACOS just because you just launched the product. Therefore, your ACOS and TACOS is going to be quite the same just because all the sales are generated via advertising. When it comes down to ACOS, usually we are seeing a 20 to 40%. It's really common. Lower is better if sales remain stable. Most important takeaway here is sales are stable. So what we want to ensure is that a 20 to 40% ACOS, sometimes it can be really, really good, but it's going to come down to what is your break-even ACOS. If your break-even ACOS is way lower, for example, maybe you have a 10% break-even ACOS, which means that you have only just a bit of margin on that product in order to make it profitable, you're going to have a very, very hard time. Even if the ACOS is going to be technically low, you are going to generate negative profits. So when it comes down to a good example, you should be analyzing your industry trends to set benchmarks. In the same time, you should also be analyzing what is realistic for my product. And ideally, we are going to work on increasing price rather than decreasing price or doing anything that is more inefficient when it comes down how to quickly increase our profit margins. A bad example here is going to be setting unrealistic targets without market research. I am saddened to let you know that most people are setting up so many unrealistic goals when it comes down to market research. Many are just trying out to see how does Amazon FBA business work for them. And this is totally fine, it's totally normal. The purpose of this video is for you to understand all these steps in order to make the best decision. Therefore, I would highly encourage you to understand that while it might be some healthy benchmarks when it comes down to the industry itself, it's going to highly depend on the strategy that you're going for. If you want to get more market share, also your TACOS and your ACOS are going to be way more higher, because what you want to do, you want to get more market share and then spend more on ads and then organically increase from that spend. So that is going to be maybe visible in 1, 2, 3 months, depending really on how competitive a keyword is. But it's really important to understand that just because someone is saying that you should have a 10% ACOS or 15% TACOS, it is not really the case. It's going to be very highly dependent on your product and your profit margins. The next step is optimization strategies. For optimization, when it comes down to TACOS, we are going to improve organic ranking by optimizing the listing, diversifying traffic sources. So very crucial when it comes down to understanding TACOS. TACOS is just an outcome of several PPC and non-PPC factors. I also created an in-depth video that is going to give more details on what I mean by PPC and what I mean by non-PPC. But the takeaway here, just because you started ads, you're running traffic to the listing and then the listing is picking up organic sales, you can 100% increase also organic sales for the same listing for the same amount of money that you're paying for. When it comes to ACOS, here we would adjust bids, we would add negative keywords, and we would refine your targeting. A really good example is going to be you are going to optimize your listings while adjusting your ad spend. So in order to be more efficient, I do consider that you have to gather data, and based on the data that you gathered, actually it means that you're spending on advertising, and based on whatever the outcome is, you're going to say, all right, so this is my outcome from the, let's say, $5,000 that I'm investing in ads. Let's optimize my main image. Let's see for the $5,000 how much more can I make in total sales, which is ads plus organic. A bad example here is cutting ad spend drastically to reduce ACOS, and this is going to kill sales. And again, most of the time, just because there's a lack of education when it comes down to these metrics, the reason why I put up this video for you to watch, ensure that you understand the process, is because most of the time, whatever someone is selling you on is that they are going to lower the ACOS. Now, the problem is not the ACOS. The problem is that you're not driving efficient traffic to a listing, and then if you are driving already efficient traffic to the listing, next step is going to be optimizing the listing itself. So now that we've gone through all those steps, next is going to be the common mistakes. These are mistakes that I'm seeing especially new sellers or inexperienced sellers make when it comes down to understanding the difference between the two and how to measure the success for both of them. When it comes down to TACOS, common mistake that I'm seeing especially new sellers make when it comes down to understanding the difference between TACOS and ACOS. Sellers are just going to ignore TACOS and they are going to rely only on PPC sales and expect immediate results, which is definitely not the case. So while the first step when you're launching the product, you're going to generate traffic to your product via Amazon ads. That is only the first step. Next step is going to be, if we want to ensure that those ads are efficient, we will have to generally create at least 2 or 3 additional sales from that one sale that converted. So the idea is going to be that once that you're running ads, you are going to increase in organic rankings. When it comes down to ACOS, a very common mistake is that sellers are going to over-optimize for ACOS. So keep in mind, again, product launch phase, you just launched the product. You cannot expect a 5% ACOS, 10% ACOS unless you already have brand recognition. So it's going to be crucial to understand where do you stand the moment that you are launching on Amazon your product. You might have brand recognition from your website, maybe you already have an established traffic source and Amazon is going to be just a secondary platform for you to ensure that shoppers are going to have the best options for them in order to make a purchase. But it's going to be really important to understand where do you stand the moment that you start. A good example here is going to be that you're going to look at both metrics in order to understand where are you right now with the product, what is the outcome, what is the data that they generated, and then from there to optimize further. When it comes down to ACOS, usually we're seeing low ACOS as the only success metric while total sales drop. Keep in mind that while Amazon is amazing, most of the money they generate, it was via advertising sales. So for them, it's really important that you are going to advertise. Your end goal should be that you are going to advertise profitably. So really important here, we want to optimize towards efficiency. We don't want to cut down budget on things that work. Metric changes over time. This is the next step. TACOS should decrease as organic sales grow, and ACOS can fluctuate based on your strategy, based on the competition, and also based on seasonality. And this is crucial to understand because these are going to be our next metrics to look into once that we started running advertising on how to troubleshoot and strategize further, especially when the outcome is not the one that we expected. A good example is that you are going to track TACOS over months to measure long-term growth. So here, for example, if our plan it is to launch a product, the first few months, month 1, 2, 3 maybe, the TACOS is going to be high, but it's eventually coming to go down, meaning that we are more efficient on the advertising and then also we are generating organic traffic from our advertising. When it comes down to a bad example, sellers are going to react to daily ACOS changes without a bigger strategy. I am telling you, this is more addictive than casinos and like betting and so on, because if you are going to look on a daily basis on what is happening, what's not happening, and you're going to react immediately to the data, first off, you should not do that because there is a 2-day attribution window when it comes down to advertising. And then second, we don't want to take rash decisions. If you're a small business owner, I am dealing with a ton of small business owners. They don't know how to prioritize and they are going to be always in firefighting mode just because business requires other skills that you might previously have had. So very important for you, do not immediately react to whatever you're seeing because we have to wait first for attribution and then second, based on the data that we're gathering, we're going to take better decisions, maybe after 1 week, maybe even after 1 month of gathering all the data that we needed for our product. And the very last thing that we're going to address is review frequency. So when it comes down to TACOS, you can look up on a weekly basis for trends and on a monthly basis for strategy changes. And I would say on a quarterly basis when it comes down to the stage of the product. After 3 months, you cannot say that anymore you are in a product launch phase technically. So after 3 months, you should be seeing a different results than within the first month. When it comes down to ACOS, here we would do daily, weekly, and even monthly optimizations based on the data that we are gathering. And here, what we're looking into is campaign adjustment optimization in order to get more profitable sales. Now, keep in mind that I just said a few minutes ago that you should not be looking into a daily basis on whatever is going on the account. I'm not referring to the managerial side when you see that a lot of data is coming in and it's not relevant data to whatever you're advertising for, especially if you're running broader campaigns like discovery campaigns, where if you have a higher bid, you're generating a lot of eyeballs and it might not be the right eyeballs. I'm not talking about that. I'm simply talking about when it comes down to reacting quickly that you invested $100 and it's not working for you, rather than go back and take a look on the campaign level. You invested $100. Which search terms did you actually show up for when someone was looking for your product? A good example here is going to be regular check-ins to tweak strategy based on the trends, and a bad example is checking once a quarter and making reactive decisions. I know it might sound silly. Most beginner sellers are going to be between these two. Either they are not going to even check what is going on, either they are going to check way too often and they're going to make way too many adjustments. And that being said, thanks so much for watching. If you still have questions, feel free to drop them in the comment below. But by now you would know what is TACOS, what is ACOS, what is the difference between them, how would you calculate them, how are they going to affect profitability, which are the healthy benchmark percentages you should be looking into, how to optimize, what common mistakes to avoid, how the two metrics are going to change while your brand grows, and how often should you review and adjust your findings. If you enjoyed this video, ensure to check out also the other video that I put together just for you. Take care, bye!